This is Locked On Bets, the daily betting show that means business from the Locked On Podcast Network. Hosted by Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers, they're dropping fearless picks with an inside edge to put money in your pocket. If there's action, they've got the lock. This is where smart bets start. It's Locked On Bets.
Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports with you. As always, we appreciate you making Locked On Bets your first listen of the day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Got plenty to get to today. A couple college football games. We'll talk about Hawaii and Air Force inside the Mountain West, and also SEC, Texas A&M and Auburn. Big game there that we'll discuss in just a little bit. Also hit on one of the WNBA games tonight as the semifinals continue. And the other thing we'll also talk about, Lee, the Lions, their victory over the Ravens last night. Baltimore 1-2. They got some issues right now as they go to Kansas City coming up next week. But before we get to all that, time for one of three. That's right. We got three blowout specials today. And here's number one.
Oh, boy. Last one out. Turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
The Kansas City Royals are on the verge of elimination. They're 6 games back of the Houston Astros for the final wild card spot. There's 6 games to go, so pretty much not happening for them. The Royals in Anaheim tonight to battle the Angels, and Bobby Witt Jr. looking to continue a solid season. Lee, what do you like with him with his player prop tonight?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know how many more games we're going to see Bobby Witt Jr. start. You know, if they get eliminated tonight, you know, he might get pulled and he may not start, or he might play sparingly. Who knows how these teams are going to handle it? And this could be maybe the last baseball game that I release, unless some teams are battling for a playoff spot. And I really feel good about it. But I like Bobby Witt Jr. a lot here, over 1.5 bases, -115. Now, he has been hot lately. He has gone over 1.5 bases in 4 of the last 7 games. 7 extra base hits in the month of September to go along with 5 multi-hit games. Also got to figure out who he's facing here. Going to face Sam Algahari. Sam, first time going to be starting. So not like they told him and tapped him, on the shoulder, say, hey, you're going in, 20 minutes beforehand. That's usually, if I was doing it, a good way maybe for a young guy to go in there and maybe not have so many butterflies, but he is going to start for his first game. Hadn't been great so far. Has a 10.38 ERA, pitched in a couple games, and he's a southpaw from Italy. So it'll be interesting. I'm going to watch that to see how he does for future reference for next year in case they make him a starter. He's been mainly in Double-A, so a big jump from Double-A to the majors here. I think he's just starting to settle in, but starting might be a total different ball game here, having to face batters if he pitches more than a couple innings, a couple times through the lineup. So I like Bobby Witt Jr. Tonight. I think it's going to be their last stand. I think maybe they score a lot of runs, and he's the catalyst for it. So we're going to go Bobby Witt Jr. over 1.5 total bases, -115, blowout special number 1.
And the San Diego Padres, they wrapped up a wild card berth last night, joining the Cubs. So 1 spot left in the National League. The American League still got to figure everything out as far as those teams go. The Reds and the Mets battling it out for the final wild card spot. Arizona's 1 back. They traded everybody at the trade deadline, and they still have a shot to get in. So that is getting interesting now over the final few days of the season. We transition, Lee, to the NFL. Week 3 wrapped up last night, and the Lions, an impressive win on the road over the Ravens. Lamar Jackson just couldn't shake off the Detroit defense. The running game for the Lions, the 1-2 punch of Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery was huge. Montgomery had that big run to set up a touchdown for the Lions. It's just an impressive job, really, by Detroit after a really terrible performance in week 1 against Green Bay to bounce back the last 2 weeks, over 50 against Chicago, and then last night the big win over the Ravens.
Well, that just shows you can't base your decision. So many people do it. They'll see one game in college and the NFL, and they'll base their decisions for 5 or 6 weeks. And then sometimes you're like, oh, Detroit looked terrible the first week. How did they cover 5 or 6 weeks in a row? Well, they improved. Just one of those days that they just didn't have it. But they're on a roll right now. This is a very talented team. Jared Goff, I don't believe he was sacked last night, and the line is incredible. 2 running backs, as you mentioned, maybe the best 1-2 punch, thunder and lightning, I like to call them. I mean, those 2 guys will Montgomery will run you over, and Gibbs will run by you. He's a speed demon and catch the ball to the backfield. And then the receivers, they got maybe the best 1-2 punch there, and for sure, I think a top 5 tight end. So this is a dangerous team. They were missing 7 or 8 of their starting 11 when they went into the playoffs on defense last year. So they got really good edge rushers. I think their one weakest, I don't know if their DBs are great, but you got a really good front 7. You sack Lamar Jackson that many times, you're going to be in good shape. So this is a really good, dangerous team, and it's setting up. I mean, the NFC with the Eagles, the Lions, the Packers, we might have, 3 or 4 teams sitting there with 1, 2, maybe at most 3 losses in the last week of the season, deciding who gets that bye and home field advantage. So NFC is very, very interesting, and I'm very impressed with Dan Campbell. Also his coordinators. As the game went on, the defensive coordinator, I thought he adjusted to the game and got better. And then the play calling, new offensive coordinator, obviously lost Johnson to Chicago, but his 4th down calls, the 2 to end the game in the 4th quarter, amazing. So hats off to Detroit. Baltimore got to improve on some things if they want to be, so-called one of the contenders with the Buffalo Bills.
Now, one quick thing, you mentioned the 4th downs, and we know Dan Campbell's no stranger going for it on 4th down, but that call where Jared Goff handed off to Amon St. Brown, and then he pitched it to Jahmyr Gibbs. Yeah. I mean, it's not even about brilliant. It's about, I can't believe we haven't seen that more often. It just was a perfectly timed play, and he had a wide open area in the end zone to get to.
Kevin, I sit there on Saturdays and Sundays, and I watch formations in certain times of the game. And I'm telling my wife, oh, here we go. It's flanker screen. Oh, this team's trying to, run out the clock. They're putting 3 receivers to the left-hand side with 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes to go, and it's a 3rd and 5. I'm like, oh, they're going to run the quarterback to the right side. She's like, how do you know? These guys are not brilliant. Most of these coordinators are not brilliant. Most of these guys were football players that were probably destined to be PE teachers. They run the same thing over again. What we're seeing is flanker screens. We're seeing quarterback fakes one way, rolls the other way, throws to the tight end. Come up with some new plays. That to me has run very little the play that you talked about, but it's a great play. You don't run it often, but when you do, you see the good teams know when to use it. So Dan Campbell is sometimes maligned or talked about for going for it too much on 4th down. But if you got plays like that, you'll be in good shape.
Now, getting to the Ravens, 1-2, they're facing the 1-2 Chiefs at Arrowhead coming up this week. So, barring a tie, the loser of this game, 1-3, in big trouble. You see the Chargers playing very well, and they get the Giants on the road. They could be 4-0 out of the gate. So the Chiefs can be in a big hole if they end up losing this game to Baltimore. But as far as the Ravens go, are there concerns? And secondly, with the Chiefs, did you buy into them with their win against the Giants, or they just played a bad team and you figured they would get off the schneid? Do you think Kansas City's turning it around?
Oh, I think Kansas City's going to turn it around. When you always have a great quarterback like that and a great coach, and they're going to get their receivers back. Just a matter of time, from injury and suspension. They get those 2 guys back, they're going to be dangerous. So they've been just kind of biding their time, and they win this week. They're at 2-2. So don't count Kansas City. Kansas City's defense is really good, and I'm actually glad as a fan I didn't get to see Jackson Dart thrown to the Wolves. If they would have put him up against that Kansas City defense, it might have been really tough. That's one of maybe top 3 or the toughest defenses to prepare for. They show you so many different looks and so many different coverages. Really could have confused a young quarterback like that. So I like the fact that the Giants are maybe going to wait till this week against the Chargers, probably more likely against the Saints the following week to roll him out. They got to roll him out soon because Russell Wilson is not the answer. Got to find out what you have. Some people are talking about playing Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston, we know what we have. If someone gets hurt and you're down in a game, I think he'd be a good alternative. If you're down 2 touchdowns going into the fourth quarter, you need a spark. He'll just go in there and he'll throw left and right, and you might get a comeback, or you might end up down by 4 touchdowns. So that's the way you play players. I would go, like, to one more week maybe with Russell Wilson. Then I'd go to Jackson Dart, and then I would have Jameis Winston as his backup. That's the way I would play it.
And also with Russell Wilson in week 1 against Washington, wasn't good. Everybody wanted him benched. Week 2 against Dallas, he has 450. He looks like the Russell Wilson of old, hitting all these big passes. Then he faced the Chiefs, and he's bad again. So you're kind of like, all right, you're 0-3. Your season's not done. But I think we know Philadelphia is probably going to win that division. I mean, maybe Washington. I mean, Jaden Daniels is banged up right now. But you're not winning the division. You're maybe not be a playoff team. So let's just go to the guy you drafted and work around him and hope he's the answer. Because Russell Wilson, is not the long-term answer.
Right. And they got some young guys. Cam Scatterbo starting to come into his own. So he played well running and catching the football. So I think the fans want to be energized. They're not paying tickets to go see Russell Wilson. They want to see Jackson Dart. Give the fans some excitement. Let's see if the quarterback, let's see if he's got it, and let's see if he can grow.
Coming up, we have a couple college football blowouts we will talk about for Saturday. Also, a hidden gem in the WNBA as their semifinals continue tonight. All of that is straight ahead. You are listening to Locked On Bets. Let's talk now about FanDuel. And, of course, NFL season is here. So FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. And week 4 of the NFL, it's already here. We're at nearly a month into the season. Cardinals Seahawks from Arizona coming up on Thursday night to kick off the action. Then you have Steelers and Vikings in Ireland. You got Ravens Chiefs on Sunday in Kansas City. Got a lot of big games coming up in week 4 of the NFL. A doubleheader coming up on Monday night. Also, besides betting on the sides, the totals, the money lines in those games, you could bet on Super Bowl 60 and the winner. Right now, the Buffalo Bills at FanDuel, they are the favorites. Baltimore, in spite of their loss to Detroit, they're right behind Philadelphia at 7-1 odds. Green Bay at plus 750. And then you look at MVP odds. Josh Allen, who won it last year, he's the favorite again. Lamar Jackson's right behind him. So you have plenty of different markets to bet on inside of the NFL as far as FanDuel goes. So you are totally busy by seeing the futures, the game bets, the player props, all of that is there. So if you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. We continue on with the Tuesday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. Get to some college football best bets in just a little bit. But first, though, Lee, the WNBA, we're down to 4 teams, so it's time for our hidden gem.
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
4 teams left. The Indiana Fever, they knocked off the Las Vegas Aces to take a 1-0 lead in that series. That's the late game tonight. The first game, Phoenix and Minnesota from Target Center in Minneapolis. And the Lynx rallied back in the second half to beat the Mercury to take a 1-0 series lead. So game 2 tonight. And for our best bet, we're going to go in the first quarter with the Phoenix Mercury plus 2 points. Now, a couple notes here on this game. Number 1, the Mercury 4-1-1 in the last 6 games in the first quarter on the road. So they've gotten up to good starts on the road. The only push came against the Liberty in game 2 of the previous series, and Phoenix ended up winning that game in blowout fashion. Also, Phoenix struggled from 3-point range in the last game. They only had 3 threes, and they'll look to change that around tonight. Also, 22 points in the second half, so they will look for a better, or at least look for a good start here like they had after that bad finish in the second half. And finally, Lee, Minnesota in the last 7 games, they've trailed 6 times after the first quarter. So let's go with the Phoenix Mercury. Mercury rising. Let's take them first quarter plus 2 against the Minnesota Lynx.
Okay. Is it available anywhere on TV or?
Yeah, it's on ESPN.
Oh, wow. I guess
we're big time now.
Night.
This is the end. This is the end of the line. So
Okay.
all these games are televised. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm in for 17 and a half minutes.
Okay, good. See, I'm telling you, it's 17.5 minutes. Oh, by the way, we didn't get to our recap in the last segment, so let's do it now quickly. 1-3 last night. And the only reason why it jarred my memory is because I made fun of you with the Nerfy that it took 10 minutes, but really it was just a home run in the bottom of the first inning for the Giants, and then that was it. So lost that one.
Thought we had it. Top of the first looked good. Just bombed to start the bottom of the first. So just wasn't my day there.
And I had the Nationals. They scored in the top of the first, but then they gave up a lot of runs after that against the Braves. So we move on from that one. And you split on the football game, hit the Lions, which was good, but the over did hit. And happens. Two high-scoring teams. And here's the other thing, too, Lee, that the Lions put together 2 drives of 95-plus yards. So They ate up a lot of clock, and this game still went over after all of that.
Yeah. I thought their defense would be good. They sacked Lamar Jackson 7 times. I don't know when you're going to see that. You said that. You think, is Baltimore going to be able to score more than 22 to 25 points? I would say probably not. So the way people bet Monday nights generally is they do either teasers or they do parlays, favorite and over, underdog, and under. And thought that we might be able to get the underdog and the under. Just didn't happen. Live and learn. But we do know that Detroit's a really good team. And like I said, Monday nights, sometimes you see some defensive struggles and sometimes you see some absolutely offensive explosions. It was just one of those nights where the offenses were scoring.
Let's transition now to college football and look ahead to Saturday. And let's start in the Mountain West and blowout special number 2.
Oh, boy. Last one out, turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
Hawaii and Air Force, they meet up on Saturday, and we'll see if the Falcons can ground the Rainbow Warriors. Still called the Rainbow Warriors? Just the Warriors. I get confused after all these years. But Hawaii and Air Force, Lee, what do you like with this game?
All right, so Air Force, when they're returning more than 5 starters on offense and defense, I think it's over the last 50 years. I think it's happened like 4 or 5 times. Every single time they've won 8 or more games. Now, they have gotten off to a tough start, especially last week against Boise State. But Boise State is a quality program. They've scored a lot the last 2 weeks. They were trying to figure out their quarterback situation. They thought it was going to be Josh Johnson. Then they have now gone, it looks like, to Liam Zarka. Liam Zarka running and throwing looks like he's the guy. So he's rushed for over at least 100 yards in a game. He can throw the football. We're not talking about like 1 or 2 completions. He's going to have some games going forward where he's going to have 8, 10, 12 completions. They've got some really good running backs. One guy I love is Dylan Carson, number 5. Watch him. He has not had his blowout game. He's going to have a couple games where he gains 150-plus yards. He is that good. So they return a lot of guys, which is very rare for an Air Force program. Just happened they played at Utah State, who's better than most people realize. Obviously, Bronco Mendenhall went there, and he knows what he's doing, and then had to play Boise. Now they get to play a Hawaii team. And you're saying, well, Hawaii's been there. They beat Stanford, came close last week, ended up 2 points short in that game against Fresno State. But it's the way you defend the triple option. And this is what I look at when teams are playing Air Force, Army, and Navy. Do they have the personnel, and are their coordinators or their coaches, have they coached against the triple option? Well, Hawaii defensive coordinator is Dennis Thurman. You know the name. He used to play for the Dallas Cowboys. Dennis has spent 20 of his last 25 years in the NFL. Last couple of years, college football. Last year, he was the cornerbacks coach at Hawaii, but Air Force did not play Hawaii. They played him 2 years ago. And so 2 years ago, he was at Colorado. 3 years before that at Jackson State. He has no experience coaching against a triple option. The only defensive coach on their roster who has played against it was in 2023 defensive ends coach, Jordan, I think it's pronounced Puapua Robinson. But like I said, it's very limited here. So Air Force gets to play at home. The line is under 7. I want to get it now before I think it might go up. In that 2023 game, Air Force had 4.3 yards per carry. Not terrible, had 200, a little over 200 rushing yards, but they were turning the ball over like crazy. Hawaii was +4 in turnovers. So I think this is a get-right game here for Air Force here. I think they're going to lay it on a team. Hawaii has no idea what they're doing against the triple option here. We're going to go with a blowout special number 2, the Air Force Falcons over Hawaii. And that leads to my trivia question. I'm going to give away this weekend. Last weekend, we gave away the Baker's Dozen. This weekend, I'm going to give away first 3 people who get it right. We're going to give my selections, not the Baker's Dozen, where we don't star from 10 to 50 units, the plays. I'm going to give them my selections entire weekend, my phone service from Thursday all the way through Monday night, where we rate them from 10 to 50 units. So you'll know how to play them. The question is, I played with one of the top 5 receivers in Air Force history. So kind of figure out my name and my age and how old I am and who this person is. Name the receiver, first 3 people who name it, who DM me at Paramount Sports on Twitter /X, or if you email me at psports@bellsouth.net, you're going to win free football service. So my way of saying thank you, listening what you might think is kind of like a dead Tuesday, but 2 college games I really like here a lot today, and I'm going to give away free service if you can name that top 5 receiver who played with me growing up.
All right. Yeah. I can't even tell you who that is. I don't even know off the top of my head who that is. So look forward to that, and look forward to looking up Lee Sterling's age as well when you try to Google that one. But let's transition after the break. We're going to talk SEC, Auburn, and Texas A&M. We'll see if Auburn can bounce back after a loss to Oklahoma. That is straight ahead right here on Locked On Bets. Locked On Bets continues here on a Tuesday. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports. Auburn, Texas A&M, big one inside the SEC. And let's go to blowout special number 3.
Oh, boy. Last one out, turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
Texas A&M off their big win over Notre Dame a few weeks ago. They're 3-0. Auburn, they hung with Oklahoma in the Jackson Arnold Bowl, ended up losing that game to the Sooners last week. So Oklahoma, we see, is back on track. But Auburn, it's been a tough schedule. I want to bring this up really quickly before we get to your analysis. So at Texas A&M, Georgia at home, Missouri at home. Next 3 games for Auburn. That's a murderer's row for them. And for Texas A&M, they can really do well because they have Auburn, Mississippi State, and Florida, their next 3 at home. So with all that being said, Lee, what are your thoughts with the Aggies and the Tigers?
All right, so I want to get this game in now. I'm not sure if it's going to hit 7, but it's at 6.5. So it's a number where, if you watched the game last week where Auburn played Oklahoma, could have been 7 if Oklahoma had hit the 2-point conversion. They didn't, and then they get the safety and they get to 7 points. So 7 is a key number to college football in the NFL, 3, 4, 6, and 7. Texas A&M, last couple of years have not had much of a passing game, but this year, Marcel Reed, quarterback, really starting to come of age, and the addition of 2 transfer receivers. A lot of people don't know who Mario Craber is. Well, comes over from Mississippi State. They couldn't throw the ball worth a hill of beans last year. Mario Craber might be one of the top 5 additions in all of college football, no matter what the position is. How big of an impact has he played, especially in that game against Notre Dame? Well, he has 20 catches through 3 games for 443 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's a threat going long and over the middle. The other addition, everyone talked about him, Casey Concepcion. 13 catches, 237 yards, and 3 touchdowns. This might be the best 1-2 punch, college football as far as receivers. Also, don't underestimate their blitz pickup. What is that? Well, they're running backs, and they step into the gap. When they see someone blitzing, they know the right person to pick up, and they will blast a linebacker or safety. I think they might be the best in college football doing it. Texas A&M, they've only allowed 2 sacks in 3 games, none against Notre Dame on the road. And how is Auburn quarterback Jackson Arnold going to fare? Well, He went against his old team last week. Now he has to get back up off the deck, getting sacked 10 times and 17 times for the entire year. That's 10 times last year against Oklahoma. Go back home, go on the road again, Texas A&M, and face over 100,000 fans here. This A&M front seven, 9 sacks in 3 games here. This is going to be blowout special number 3. Texas A&M -6.5 over Auburn. Take it to the bank.
All right, and we have our 2 off nights here of football, Tuesday and Wednesday night, then we'll get back at it Thursday night. So, Lee, Paramount Sports, what's going on as we head into another week of football?
Well, winning week, went a combined 5-0 Sunday and Monday for our clients in the NFL, so led to a winning week here at Paramount Sports. Like I said, you want to get in on the trivia question, you're going to get a free week of action through Monday night, Thursday through Monday night. Going to get probably 12 to 14 games. Just name one of the top 5 Air Force receivers. He is from Miami. I'm going to give you another clue. He's from Miami. So find out who that is, name that person, and DM me on Twitter or email me, psports@bellsouth.net. And UFC's back. Going to be a fun weekend. And who knows, might even have a baseball game or two that means something. So going to be an interesting weekend.
Yeah, and looking forward to it. And we have NHL starting in a few weeks, NBA starting next month, so really getting into the busy time of year. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Locked On Bets, as well as our podcast version you can find on Spotify or on Apple or anywhere you listen to your podcast. And you can find Lee on X at Paramount Sports, myself on X at Rogers Picks. We'll be back with you coming up on Wednesday for another edition of Locked On Bets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.